Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar today that will clarify how to handle color for internet purposes, for web purposes. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Oliver Mews. I'm located in Switzerland, working for Datacolor since around 9 years now. So I'm the Global Customer Service Manager. And also online is Joy. Joy, introduce yourself, please.
Hello everyone, I'm Joy Pong, which is working for Datacolor for 2 years. I'm based in Hong Kong from China. So hello everyone.
Hello again. So first, let us talk about a bit about color management. Color management in general, because of it's very important to prepare our images for web purposes in the best way. So first, we need to look at the displays that we use to display our images, to look at our image, to edit our images, and so on. And what we know, I'm sure everybody here in the room has done that experience in the past. You look at your monitor, retouch your image, and everything looks good, looks very great. But you open that image on another computer, and it looks maybe weird or ugly or muddy or too punchy in colors or contrast or whatever. So that is because of we are dealing with different types of monitor technology. Some of these monitors, they have LED as a light source. Others have it's called the CCFL, so neon tubes. And even the old ones, the old heavy ones, the CRTs, and so on and so on. All these monitors, they have different physics. So there's even um, a monitored or display type that is called OLED. I think that will be the future technology. So that is inbuilt in the iPhone, for example. And because of all these different physics, a different light source that is illuminating these pixels. Because of that, we are seeing the color in a different way. The difference is produced by, it's called the spectrum of light. So just look into a neon tube and look that color of the light, that it's even not just the color or the white point, it's also the spectrum of the light that is completely different compared to LEDs, for example. So now you can imagine that, yeah, we have to deal with that and we have to match them. And this can be done by color management. But there is another reason as well. This is the aging process. The aging process is that any light source is getting lower and lower and lower in luminance. So that is quite normal. Just look at the lamps in maybe a big office or in a store, and you see that all of them are, or almost all of them are looking the same, looking equal. But if one of these is out of order and blinking and doing that noise. So you take one of your spare parts from the basement and put it in, and then compare that neon tube with all the others. You see it's brighter and it has a different color. So that shows you that also the light source in your monitor will drift in luminance, so that means the brightness, and with the color. So that is also a reason why we need to calibrate and recalibrate our monitors. Datacolor offers different products to correct colors on monitors. And maybe Joy, I think you should tell us the differences between these Spider Force, the Elite Pro Express, and the Spider TV. Why TV? Do I need to calibrate each TV with the Spider TV?
So if you are a TV enthusiast, if the source of your TV is just like you are playing with the Blu-ray or DVD, and you would like to see the accurate color, just like the highlight details and the shadows details from your TV, which is playing a movie or something. So in this case, you need to use our Spider TV HT to calibrate your TV.
Okay, and the spider gallery is made for what?
The Spider Gallery is usually made for your mobile device, so maybe on your tablet or iPhones, just like the iPad and the iPhone. And aside from this month, we have also a new technology from which is made by Android. Even with your Android devices, like another brand like Samsung or Sony, with your mobile device, you can also use our Spider Gallery as a in-app.
Yeah, and the good news here is that Spider Gallery is free of charge. So you just need to download that from the App Store, and then you can use it. The Spider TV HD is an optional software that is available in our web store. So of course there is a difference between Spider 4 Elite, Pro, and Express, but we will talk about that a bit later. In workshops or trade shows, and yeah, events like that. And I joined a workshop that from the weekend to this morning. In Austria, it is a very famous photographer, even in US, not just in Europe. And there was a student that also asked the same question. In each event, I really get that question. Look, I'm experienced. I'm a photographer. I'm dealing with colors all the day. So I can do that by myself, that calibration thing. So all what I need is a gray card. And I put that gray card beside my monitor and I illuminate that monitor with, of course, I know I have to calibrate my monitor to 6500 Kelvin and the gamma 2.2. So 6500 Kelvin. That is the white point. So I illuminate that gray card with daylight at noon, that is 6500 Kelvin. And then I use Photoshop and I create a big patch to my screen with the numbers 128, 128, 128. So that is a neutral gray. And when that gray has a color tint on my monitor, I just need to open the menu of my monitor and need to adjust these RGB levels that is in there. And when I'm matching that my gray card, then it's calibrated. So I don't need any Spider or any other sensor, your Spider TV or your Spider Express or Elite or whatever. So I can do that by eyeball. No, you can't. The reason is, look here at my slide. There is a big checkboard and there's a cylinder. You see that the cylinder is not important, but the shadow of the cylinder is quite important. Here is a dark patch A and a bright patch B. So do you see them? If you are agree, then you're wrong. Absolutely wrong. Why? That A and that B is equal. That is not a dark and that is not a bright one. Look, if I put a reference beside that, here you can see there is no gradient. So that is the same gray. So you see, human eye is quite good in comparing something, but in seeing an absolute color, quite lousy. So let me remove that again. So what happened here? Our eye sees that gray, let's call it our gray, but compared to the very bright ambient, it looks quite dark. And our brain says, okay, that is a dark gray. But the same here in the very dark shadow. The same gray, our gray, looks quite bright compared to the ambient. And that is the reason why our brain saves, okay, and that is a bright gray, but it's not. You saw that already. So that is the same gray. You see, you are not really able to see an absolute color and to judge, yep, that is now calibrated and that is. So, but there is a much more important reason why you can't do that by eyeball. Your monitor offers three sliders, the red, the green, and the blue. Do you see that box here on the right? That is the tone response curve, the red one, from my older MacBook Pro. So why is it red? even if this was the blue color channel, it's red because of this is uncalibrated. Do you see that smooth curve here? The blue one? That is the target. That is how the blue channel should be, but that is what it is uncalibrated. So what I need to do, and remember, we said we just need the RGB sliders to correct the colors. That is zero. Zero means black. It's dark. But then the blue channel is getting brighter and brighter and brighter. That is a very dark blue here in that area. And then it's getting brighter and brighter until the brightest level, that is 255 and 8-bit color depth. That means that here on top, that is the bluest blue that comes out of your monitor. Something like that blue here. So a very dark blue, step number 50, is much too bright on my uncalibrated MacBook Pro. So what I need to do is to decrease that blue. Oops, where's my mouse? Here we go. I need to decrease that luminance. But here, step 100 roundabout is perfect, so keep it. But step 150, that is here, is too low. I need to increase that. How can I do that with just one slider for the whole blue color channel? There is no option to do that. So an ICC profile, that is what a color management system can do. An ICC profile is able to correct all 256 steps individually. So much more than your eye can do. In summary, by the way, it's 16.7 million different colors that are corrected in the end. So that ICC profile corrects the white point. And sorry for that word, it linearizes your color primaries. What does that mean? Do you remember my S curve? That is smooth in the end. So it hits the blue smooth line that you saw here in my little graph. And not just with the blue, with the red and with the green as well. So all the color primaries, RGB. And that is essential to soft proof images. So that means if you have a printer and you color calibrate your printer as well, or the better word for that here is profile your printer. If you do that, or even a printing service is doing that, they have an ICC profile that you can use to soft proof your image. That means you have a preview to the printout colors of your or that printing service printer. To learn how to do that is that will be another webinar then. So that would be too much for today. We have different color spaces. Different color spaces means that here is the CIE norm color space that is all the visible colors that are visible by human eye. Then here in the middle is a smaller triangle. That is sRGB. sRGB, by the way, means standard RGB. That is the color space or the color, let's call it the color limit of a normal monitor, a better laptop monitor, or a normal standard monitor. So that means a desktop monitor. Then we have a bigger one that is Adobe RGB. Is that one here? And that I think is the most common or most used color working space here in that group. And we have ProPhoto RGB that is used by now let's call it high professionals that are using a digital bag on a mid-format camera, so the really expensive things. So they have a bit bigger color space. Each device has a gamut. A gamut means the color limit. And just to give you an example that your camera has a color limit as well. Capture one of these street constructors, you know, the guys that are working on a street when it's broken. So they have these neon orange or neon yellow jackets. Capture such a guy, and then Look at your image. If you can still see that neon green or neon yellow or neon orange, it's gone. Because of your camera can't see such a color. It looks like a bit greenish, muddy yellow, that neon yellow. So that is why your camera can't see that. So that is out of range, out of gamut. That is the word. So just to explain that. I am now interested in which color working space is your workflow. So please let me give that question to you. Now you see that little box and please let me know. Just click it. Is it sRGB or Adobe RGB? Or is it a different one? So for example, ProPhoto RGB or ECI RGB V2, or there are some different, I know. Or do you don't have a clue what it is? Okay, so 75% of all attendees click the button now, so please do a bit more. I'm really interested in that. So I give you the numbers. We have 20. It's a bit. I think I don't know if the word rounded works in English. So sorry for my poor English. So around 27% is using sRGB. 60% is Adobe RGB 1998, the bigger triangle here. And then 9% is, no, I use a different one. And 4% is, I don't have any clue. So you see, that is a quite important question. Your camera is a normal DSLR is able to capture Adobe RGB 1998, and that should be your workflow. So thank you for answering that question. Let's look a bit deeper in that. Look, this sRGB is not covering all the colors of a printer. The printer is that little, which is not a triangle, that is something like, let's call it a bubble. I don't know a word for that, sorry. It's not covering everything. And that is the reason why when you are printing your images, you should work with Adobe RGB 1998 or even bigger. That Adobe RGB here is more or less covering everything from the printer. Just a bit more yellow here sometimes, but that is really the border sometimes, and that depends on the printer and on the paper that you are using. The cyan tones is also a bit stronger in the printer, but as I already mentioned, that is depending on the printer and on the paper and on the ink set. So the workflow is sRGB or Adobe RGB in your camera. Then when you copy the file to your computer and you're working with Photoshop or Lightroom or whatever, Aperture, whatever you use, keep the original color working space. If you are working with JPEGs, of course, keep it. If you're working in RAW, that's of course the better idea. Then please convert from RAW to Adobe RGB 1998 to the bigger one. But keep the color space all the way in your workflow. Don't change it. Don't translate from one color space into another and then back and forth, back and forth. That won't work. Why? It's a bit like translating a letter. It's a bit of, let's call it interpretation. Um, my language is German. So if I would write a letter in German and I give it to a translator who's doing a perfect job, and he will translate my letter into French, another guy into English, another guy back into German. All three guys are doing a perfect job. Do you think that the words are still the same when it's back into German? I'm absolutely sure not. The content of the letter will be perfect translated, and that will be the same, but the words are not. no longer the same. You know what I mean with that? So please don't convert your images back and forth in sRGB, then Adobe RGB. Oh, L-star, I want to remove the noise in the blue channel, and then back to Adobe RGB. That wouldn't be a good idea. Really not. But if you are um, publishing your images in the internet, for example, Facebook or your own website or some of these photo discussion communities, then please reduce your bigger. If it's sRGB, of course, keep it. But if you're working in Adobe RGB, then reduce the color gamut to sRGB. That is really our recommendation. Why? If you are working on a Mac and your browser is, for example, the Safari browser, then everything works fine. Safari browser is opening an image, a JPEG, for example, and it looks into the file. Look, I have color numbers, but what is that number? That is a kind of, let's call it scale. So here in Switzerland, our distance is a kilometer. 1.6 kilometer is 1 mile. So this is the same then. If the Safari opens it, it looks, what is that number? Is that kilometer or is that a mile? Because of it's different. So that is working, and it recalculates the colors. So you see the colors in a correct way. But the most Windows users that are using the Internet Explorer that comes with Windows, that is not able to do that. So it opens a file, sees the RGB numbers, and expects, no, that is sRGB, even if your file is in Adobe RGB. So then the colors are looking completely weird. Too much saturated, too much whatever. So don't do that. Please really recalculate or put them in sRGB. You can do that with Photoshop. That is, if you click on File and then on Save for Web Purposes, then you're getting a little box that is that here, and there is a checkbox here. Look, that is Convert to sRGB. Please check that. And then save your JPEG. That is what I would choose. And of course, choose the quality and keep an eye on the size, on the file size here. So Facebook has a limit, you know that. I'm not sure what is the limit, but I'm quite sure that you know that better. So you can reduce a bit more. You can compress the image a bit more to keep it small, of course. But please highlight that chat box here. Convert to sRGB. So you don't need to do that manually in Photoshop with your original file. Again, please keep your original file in Adobe RGB then. And here's another checkbox that means embed color profile. Please do that. The file will be a bit bigger, 2-3 kilobytes. So that is not a big deal, but the information will stay in your JPEG. I'm an sRGB file. So all the color numbers that are in these are sRGB. That is quite important for browsers or other application where display your image on a computer. So please do that. We have four with a spider for TV HD. We have 3 different spiders to calibrate a monitor on your computer. Enjoy. Please explain us the differences between Spider 4 Express Pro and Delete.
So if I am a client, I will just always use my camera to shoot image, but I just put it on Facebook. That means I will never get to print my image. In this case, Spider 4 Express is good to go. But If I want to print my image out, that means I will use some kind of lighting, just like your ambient light, your fluorescent lamp, or tungsten lamp to reveal your printout. In this case, you should use Spider 4 Pro, because the main difference between Express, Pro, and Elite is for the Pro version and the Elite version, they have an ambient light sensor on the top of on the back side of the Spider. That means every time before you measure your monitor, they will also measure the ambient light as well. While Express, it won't do that kind of measurement. So
So
Oliver?
yeah, so Spider 4 Pro has that ambient light sensor. You saw that here on the screen. I hope you can see my cursor. So that is the ambient light sensor, and that is missing on the Spider 4 Express. So Spider 4 Express is the most simple Spider, and it calibrates your monitor to a target that you need to work with. Yeah, just web purposes only. But as long as you print out your image, and that is not just printing with your own printer, even if you send your file to a printing service and they print it for you, then you are printing your files, and then you need an ambient light sensor. We will show you the reason why you need that. We will show you a bit later. Spider 4 Elite, and let me mention that, has a feature that is called the iterative gray balance, and it adds more measurement points around the gray axis. So that is the highest range. You can calibrate to each gamma, to each white point, and so on and so on. So for the pros, the professional photographers, maybe the Elite is the good choice. But, and that is important for me to mention here, Spider 4 Express is not upgradable. It stays Spider 4 Express. The Spider 4 Pro and Spider 4 Elite can be upgraded to Spider 4 TV HD, and the Spider 4 Pro can be upgraded to Spider 4 Elite because of the sensor is the same. The only difference is here the little 4 is red here and blue there. But in the Spider, all the electronics and the sensors and so on, they are the same. So I talked about the electronics and so on. What is in such a Spider? And what is the difference between the Spider 4 and the older Spiders? We have 7 new sensors in that Spider 4 with higher stability, longer durability, thanks to double coated filters. So these little filters here, they are like covered in a sandwich. You know what I mean? So they are protected from humidity, from the environment. So we call this Spider 4 a living calibration tool. That sounds a bit strange, I know. So you don't need to feed it. That's a promise. No, look here. It's monitor type adaptation included in the Spider. And let me explain these both points together. If you install the Spider software, it will ask you, please allow me to share calibration data with the Datacolor database. Please allow it. So that means when you calibrate your monitor and you remember that I mentioned we have white LEDs, we have RGB LEDs, we have CCFLs, and so on. So that is a very, very important information to profile and calibrate your monitor. And do you know which kind of light source is in your monitor? Do you know the XY values of RGB is in your monitor of the filters and so on? Our database know it. So that is the reason why. Please allow the software to do that. So that means the software sees, oops, at this computer is connected whatever, a Sony 123 monitor. So it asks our database, hey, it's a Sony 123. Do you know something about it? And our database will answer, yes, of course I know. It has white LEDs. It has a normal gamut. The blue is that, red is that, green is that. So these information will be used to calibrate your monitor, and it learns also from your monitor, and it knows how your monitor will drift in the time with its aging process. I mentioned that earlier. So that is the reason, because of it learns that this is a living calibration tool. Then it's compatible with iPhones and iPads, and now with Androids as well. That is brand new. So I was in vacation the last 2 weeks, and we launched that in my vacation. So really brand new. So, how does a calibration work? That is quite simple. You put the spider in the middle of your monitor. So here you see an outlined spider on the display. So just put it in the middle. There's the cable. The cable is a USB cable. So just connect it to the USB port of your computer. And then the spider compares colors. That means it's not just RGB like that here. This is just an example. So it starts with black and then with the red color channel. So that means first it's a very, very, very dark red, and then it's getting brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter until it's the reddest red that is possible with your monitor, with your display, yeah, with your monitor. The same will happen with green, with blue, with a gray scale, a few reference measurements. And then in the end, the software sees, and that is just a very simplified description. It sees, oops, I sent a red number 200 to the screen, but at the same time, I saw with my sensor in front of the monitor, it looks like a red number 205, for example. So that information will be stored in that ICC profile. And when you put, for example, a logo in your image, and in that logo is exactly the red number 200. Now your Photoshop, and of course it needs to be 200 because of that is the correct red, but that will be too strong on your monitor. So your Photoshop will give that logo to your graphic card. The graphic card will create a video signal out of that. And that video signal has to pass that lookup table. And the lookup table, that's a little chip on your video card. And there is a very big part of that ICC profile that will take care of your red. Oops, what? You want to see the red number 200 on the screen? So I need to reduce that to 195, and then your red will be the correct one on the screen. So that is really, really simplified, but that is how a color management system works. So the original color stays in your file, but your monitor will show you how it really looks. So that is the procedure. Please, here are a few very important hints or tips to follow in your workflow. Please darken your room and use indirect lighting. What does it mean, darken your room? Completely dark? No, absolutely not. Let me describe it that way. If you are able to read a small article in a newspaper without switching the light, perfect. If you would read the whole page of the newspaper in that light condition, you are sitting a bit too bright. So you know what I mean? Really, don't do that. Then please work with a stabilized ambient light situation. That means daylight is not good. I'm a photographer, so I do glamour photography and fashion photography, stuff like that, fine art things. So when I retouch my images, especially for those glamour stuff, I retouch a portrait. I need 7, 8 hours to do that. Um, do I sit in a darkened room then? No, absolutely not. So I'm working in daylight, but I don't care about color at that stage of my editing of my post production. I just repair the texture of the skin. So I remove pimples and a bit wrinkles and stuff like that. You know that how to deal with those images. So then in the end, when the retouching is done, then I shut the blinds. I wait for 5 minutes just to acclimatize my eyes to the new light condition, and then I edit. For example, selective color corrections or all the contrast, the graduation curves, and so on. So then I'm dealing with colors and with brightness and with contrast. Not really not with daylight. Why? You are working on an image. There is maybe a forest, and in the lower woods, where all the dry what is the word for these sticks are on the tree? Sorry, I don't know the word. Sorry for that. But okay, you can barely see the texture in that very dark zone of your image. Hmm, perfect. But it's cloudy outside. And there is, at the moment, a cloud in front of the sun. Now the cloud moves and the sun is shining. So it's much brighter now in your room. And look at these shadow details. They're gone. It's clocked. There is no texture at all. Where's all that stuff? There was a rabbit in the forest. I can't see it anymore. It was barely visible. So what would you do? You use your little brighten tool. I'm not sure if this is the English name of that tool. And then you make the shadows a bit brighter. Ah, there is the rabbit. You can see it. But now the next cloud comes and it moves in front of the sun. So it's getting darker in your room. Now look at your shadows. They are so bright. So what happened here? So you see, you really need to stabilize a light condition. That is very important. Then please work with a warmed up monitor, 30 minutes or even an hour. Then you're on the safe side. That also means, do you use that hibernate mode on your computer? So I'm not talking about the screensaver where is a watch or a slideshow or whatever. So use that. That is fine. Your monitor is all is still running, It's not switching off. But that hibernate mode where it saves power and it makes click and it's really off. Don't use that. Why? Because of if you wake it up, so you're on phone maybe for 20 minutes. After 15 minutes, it's switching off. So it's 5 minutes off. Then you come back to your monitor. You're moving your mouse, and yep, there is Photoshop. Okay, I can um, proceed with my post production. Uh-uh. You won't see the correct colors at that time because of your monitor is cooled down and it needs another 15, 20, 25 minutes to re-warm up. So that is the reason why I recommend to not use the hibernate mode if you do those corrections. So if you need to rely on the colors of your monitor. Please recalibrate your monitor every 2 weeks. Yep, so often. Because of your monitor will, you remember that aging process, it will reduce the luminance from day to day to day to day. That is really true. To be honest, I don't do that every 2 weeks. I do it round about once a month. Why? Because of that is better? No, because of I'm lazy. Better would be every 2 weeks. But if I do a fashion shoot for a client and I know they are so picky with colors, sometimes I do that still. I had 2 studios, but they're closed in the meantime. But when I do that fashion stuff, I recalibrate my monitor. Even the last calibration is just 5 days ago. Hey, it takes 2.5 minutes to recalibrate a screen. That is really not a big deal. So you know what I mean? Do it every 2 weeks. That is best. Then please avoid colorful walls and surfaces around your monitor. For example, your desk. Is it wooden? Not so good. White, gray, black. That would be brilliant. No color, so neutral color. The wall behind your monitor is red or green painted. Are you wearing a blue t-shirt when you work with your images? Do you? You shouldn't. Do you know why? Because of a color that is around your monitor will influence your color perception. You don't believe me? Okay, look at my next slide. Please come a bit closer to the screen. So 30, 40 centimeters, so 1 foot in front of your screen. That is a very great test, believe me. And now look at the middle of that white bubble here in the middle. So just look at that point and don't move your eyes around anymore. Otherwise, that test won't work. I need to talk a bit and to wait a bit. Let me switch off the lights. So just look in the middle of that white dot. I will switch to the next slide now. And in that next slide is at the same place is the white point. And please keep looking in the middle of the white points. Don't move your eyes around. Otherwise, the test won't work. Okay, so look in the middle. In the next slide, still in the middle. 3, 2, 1, blop. Still in the middle. So you see there are two images. And now look from one image to the other, from left to right, and compare the colors of the images. Oops. Did you realize that they were different in the beginning? And now you see that they are equal? Why that happen? That greenish and the reddish surface of the slide before, that desensibilized your eyes with a color that is that is there. So that means if your wall is painted in red, all your images seem to be a bit too greenish. They are not. It's just because of that red influence your color perception. You see, that is a proof that this wasn't a lie. Really, try to avoid colors around your monitor. That is quite important. Now, please, let's look in a bit expert knowledge. Expert knowledge sounds a bit, ooh, now it will be difficult. No, it's not. I just want to explain you what is in an ICC profile. And by the way, ICC means International Color Consortium. That is a global wide standard, industrial standard. So that is not a Datacolor standard. Even if the printer of your printing service is calibrated with whatever, a non-Datacolor printing calibrator, don't care about that. That is a that will fit all together. So these ICC profiles, they will correct the white point, and this will be done by the application like Photoshop, InDesign, Lightroom, and so on, together with the operating system. And then there is the bigger part, the bigger half of that ICC profile is the linearization of the color primaries. These are you remember that smooth curve and my little double S curve? So that correction is also in that ICC profile, and that will be handled by your video card or graphic card. And those ICC profiles, they are essential to soft-proof images. That means to simulate, to simulate the printer colors already on your monitor. If your monitor is calibrated, you can simulate the printout and you can see, that is what I can expect from that and that and that printer. That is quite interesting. But again, we will put that in another webinar because of it would be too long for now. And those ICC profile can be used on all displays and all printers. Even cameras can correct with that. So ICC profiles, they are a global wide standard. Spider 4 Express shows you in the end how large is the color gamut, the color limit, you remember, of your monitor. And that was my older MacBook Pro. So it wasn't able to show me the whole sRGB color working space. Oops. So that means a laptop display normally is really not the best display to edit images. So, but newer laptop displays, they are covering sRGB, so they're fine. But older ones, I wouldn't recommend that. Then we talked about that ambient light compensation that comes with a Spider 4 Pro and with a Spider 4 Elite. So do you see, do you have a picture or a printout, a magazine, whatever, beside your monitor? Compare the white of the paper with the white here of your computer. Is it as bright as that? I'm sure it's not. It's lower, right? Hmm. That your monitor is a light source. Your printout or that magazine, so that piece of paper is just reflecting your ambient light. So that is um, another contrast range. Even blacks are different. Your display has a very dark black, a deep black, while your print it's also a bit depending on the ambient light. There is, if it's bright in your room, there is a rest reflection. So it won't be as dark as your monitor. So what can an ambient light sensor from Spider 4 Pro or Elite do for you? It measures the ambient light and sees, oops, the contrast range would be of a print roundabout like that. And then it reduces the brightness of your screen to an ambient light fitting level. That is so important. I'm sure that you experienced some of you retouched an image, you did everything, you worked hours on that image, and you love it. Then you send it to your own printer or a printing service. They send it back, and what's wrong here? There's one f-stop missing. So much too low, much too dark. That is the reason. So do that, and that won't happen again. Then Spider 4 Pro has these, let's call it a pre-calibration steps. We call it a monitor quality analyzer. So that is with Gamut. You saw that already. That is also included in the Spider 4 Express. Then tone response, brightness and contrast, and white point at different OSD settings. I will give you an example. Your monitor has presets, and there are white points like standard, like office use, like video, like some other. So, which white point should you choose to calibrate your monitor? The answer is quite simple. That that preset that is the closest to 6500 Kelvin, because of that is your target if you are working with sRGB or Adobe RGB 9098. So use that is the closest to 6500 Kelvin. And what is that? Office or standard or games or video or what? Yep, you can't know it. Just measure it. Measure it with these settings here, and it looks like a target where you can shoot on. You know what I mean? So in the middle, the bullet that is 6500 Kelvin, and then you see all the others, and you see which is the closest to 6500, and that should be used on your monitor as preset in the monitor's menu in that OSD setting. So the corrections of that spider profile will be as smooth as possible. That will increase, sorry, that will increase the quality in the end. So give that a try. That is also very important. And this is not available on all calibration systems on market. Mm-mm. Then we have the Spider 4 Elite. Look, gamut as well, tone response. You see them? All of them are in the Pro. So, but it has two further: screen uniformity and color accuracy. Screen uni what? Look, uniformity is that. So it looks like let's call it a heating map. The spider is placed on 9 different places. Here, top left, top middle, top right, the same in the middle, the same on the lower line. And then it shows you if your monitor has a, let's call it a vignetting. My older MacBook Pro, and my new one is much better now, is 10% lower in luminance compared to the middle. Ooh, sorry, I'm back. So 10% lower compared to the middle. Can I calibrate that? No. That must be pre-calibrated by the display manufacturer. And you see, that is the difference why some 24-inch displays cost $200, $300 and others 2000 and even more. The very expensive ones, they are very, very equal in uniformity. So they wouldn't have that vignetting like that here. So you can't improve that. You can't remove that vignetting. But then this feature is senseless. You can't do anything with that. No, you can. You are now aware that your monitor here is 10% deeper in luminance or lower in luminance. So that means if you have an image and here on the bottom there are a lot of deep shadows, but here it's clogged. It's too dark. So do you need to increase a bit the details in that? Wait, you are aware, stop, my monitor is too low here. So just drag and drop your image and move it to the upper corner here, to the upper left. So that zone of your image is shown here in the middle of that screen. If it's still too dark, then retouch it. If it's okay here, then don't touch it, keep it. And think about purchasing a new monitor in the future. If it's so strong like that here. So just slightly vignetting is okay. So then back to our workflow. So sRGB, 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 or Adobe RGB, but for web purposes sRGB. Now when we want to print our images, of course, also, always use your original color working space. And if this is Adobe RGB, then of course send Adobe RGB to your printer because of it covers the most of that printer gamut. Your printer can be profiled with a tool that is called Spider Print. I can't explain a bit more about that tool because of that would be too long for now. But we will do further webinars, so keep an eye on that. But here you see again, Adobe RGB is that big triangle, and that almost covers all of the colors of a printer. And that here was an Epson printer 2200 and on matte paper. So just to give you a rough idea. If you are working with different papers, or if you're not working with different papers, you should try that. If you print out a glossy, shiny car together with a high fashion model, a sports car, for example, that looks quite good if you print that on a glossy paper. But another example, a portrait of a 100 years old guy in maybe black and white, print that on glossy paper. And believe me, that will be boring. Print such an image on, for example, that natural white paper that is matte, that looks so much better. Really, so much better. Just give it a try. Play around. There are sample boxes of paper on market, and just give that a try. That is so much better. The system like the Spider for Print gives you, or Spider Print gives you the option to profile all of the different papers that you will archive the best quality out of your printer then. If you are interested in more information about color management, please download our Spider ebook that is available with that link here. Do a screenshot if you want to keep that here in mind, or if you want to browse that a bit later after the webinar. It's spider.datacolor.com/ebook-en, like English. And then you can download that ebook. Just type in your name and your email address and send some greetings. These are 6 chapters about color management in general, about camera calibration, about monitor profiling, profiling a bit deeper. That means screen matching in studio conditions and so on. Here, viewing, printing, and here, like soft proofing different media types and so on and so on. So that is a book not for a 2 weeks holiday at the beach. That is more or less a book for a rainy Sunday afternoon, you know. So, and all of these points are explained from a photographer's view. I wrote that book together with a quite famous German editor. He has a magazine that is more or less the Photoshop Bible in the German speaking market. So that is Christoph Kühne and myself. We wrote that book, and it's really quite interesting. Just download it, give it a try. It's free of charge. So now we have also a blog. We are on Facebook. Look here. That is the link. I know that is quite long. Just search for Datacolor, Spider, and Australia, and you will find our Australian Spider site there. We are in Tumblr, in Pinterest. Sorry for that. In YouTube, LinkedIn, of course. RSS feeds are um, you can order them on our website. Of course, we have a newsletter. Just subscribe to our newsletter. We don't spam you with emails. It's a newsletter, I would say, one in a month. So, but there's really content in, and it's really interesting to see. So then, let me mention our free of charge customer service. That means if you have questions about the workflow or about the spider, you are unsure what is the right setting for me, can't find that, or somebody says that and that, but I thought that and that, contact us. In our ticket system, it's reachable 24/7. It's support.datacolor.com. You can submit a ticket there, and we will answer you with our worldwide team. I joined that team. Joey is a part of that, and a few other guys. So spread around the world. And no, forget that number. Sorry, I forgot to remove that. That is a European number. Sorry for that. 24/7 reachable. We answer during office hours. So then in the end, let me mention further webinars. We will offer further webinars. So keep an eye on our website and look into that. I'm sure that Joey and the rest of the China team, they will create more and more and more webinars about camera calibration, how to balance color on your camera. That is quite interesting. How to balance contrasts of your camera. Did you hear that? And that is really possible. That is done with our Spider Cube is the name of the product. It's very interesting. Look at those webinars. I'm sure you will love them. So then in the end, we have a special deal. Joey, that's again your part. Oops. Maybe we lost Joey. Sorry, so I will do that. So that is a special deal. We have a webinar special deal, the Spider 4 Pro. Spider 4 Pro will be offered from Digital Camera Warehouse. There is a link to go to our product here, but that link is a bit longer and it would be a bit, yeah, let's call it messy to put it on here. What we will do is we will send you the link via email after the webinar. I hope that is okay for you as well. Now, let me open the discussion now. I need to wait to click something here. I need a second to do that. Sorry. That is not the right one. So you have the option to answer questions now. So there is a little chat box now in your GoTo webinar tool, and you can type in your questions, and I will answer them. That is not just a chat. So type in your question. I will read your question without your name. Don't be afraid. And then I will give the answer so everybody can hear the question and the answer, of course. So, let me see if there is already a question. Yes, it is. Hi, can we upgrade from Spider 3 to Spider 4 Pro? Sorry, that is not possible. Not possible because of the Spider 4 is a new sensor. So different filters, different sensors, different firmware. So the is body shape the word? I'm not sure. So the shape of the housing, that is the same. Yes, the color is a bit different of the housing, but inside it's really new. So that is the reason why there is no upgrade from Spider 3 to Spider 4. Sorry for that. Hi, thank you very much for the webinar. Oh no, that's all. Yeah, thank you for listening. Um, until I get your further questions, I would like to send you another question. So the duration of that webinar until our questions now was 1 hour. We introduced 45 minutes. So sorry for that. It was a bit longer, but I would like to ask you, the duration of the webinar was what? Too short or too long, or was it good? And thank you. That is quite important information for me and for Joey as well. So because of we want to do it better. So 72% click the button. Please help us do it. Yeah, that is really helpful for us. Okay, so is it around 1% that says no, too short, can be longer? 12, 13% is no, too long. And 86 roundabout percent is no, it was great that way. Okay, so, and last but not least, the last, that's a promise, the last a question from my side or from our side is, how was the webinar? Have you expectations been satisfied? Yep. Or not completely. It was a bit too technical for me. Or no, it can be a bit more technical, or not at all. Okay, 65% now. A bit more. Clicking, clicking. Thank you. You can imagine that this is very helpful for us to improve our webinars. So it's done. Okay, thank you. So it's around 64%. They say, yep, it was brilliant that way. Around 5% is no, too technical. Around 30%, it can be a bit more technical, and 2%, I didn't like it. So thank you for that answer. And you see that we are honest with that answers. So we are really interested in that. So let me look into the in further questions. Not a question, great presentation. Oh yeah, thank you for the feedback. Have Spider 4 Express and iMac latest. Okay, but the question is missing. Maybe it comes a bit later. How can I tell what color system my monitor uses? Look at the tech specs on the website of the manufacturer, or just allow Spider to communicate with our database. Then that will be done automatically. So you don't need to take care of that. Next question. Does it work okay with laptop screens? Absolutely. Yes, it does. So just go with it. Does Elite also measure color uniformity refer to center? Like it measures luminance uniformity to center? Yep, it does. Did you see on the right side there was the luminance uniformity? On the left side was a colored graph, and that was what you meant. That is the color uniformity. I didn't mention that because of I was a bit late in that webinar here, so I'm aware of that. So sorry to step that over. What is the difference between ICC version 2 and version 4? That is additional information in that ICC profile. The most applications are working with version 2 very smoothly. compared to version 4 that creates trouble sometimes. So to be honest, I recommend the version 2. But both are supported. I'm currently shooting with a D800, me too, D800E, with sRGB color space. Should I change to Adobe RGB? My recommendation, yes, you should. But wait, is your file, your format, is that raw? Then it doesn't matter which setting is in your camera, because of in raw everything is included. So you can do with your raw converter whatever you want. But if you are creating JPEG files, then yep, you should change it to Adobe RGB. My recommendation. If your images are really only for web purposes, then keep as RGB. If you also printing your images, then you should go with Adobe RGB 9098. When previewing output from web from Photoshop, what preview should we have in the drop down to preview the image? Just use that sRGB thing. So then you see the best average of also non-calibrated users or displays. Not the users are calibrated, but the devices. Can more than one monitor be calibrated? Yes, of course. How much you want. So that means the spiders, they include a site license. Site license means it's allowed for you to calibrate all your own monitors on one location. If you have a whatever advertising agency, you know what I mean, and you have 20 guys are working with that, of course, calibrate all of them. That's okay. Okay. So you said you can upgrade from elite from pro to elite. I have a Spider 4 Pro, just purchased it 2 months ago. Yes, you can go to our website and just purchase the upgrade, because of just the software is the difference, and you can purchase the Spider 4 Elite upgrade from pro to elite, and then you have Spider 4 Elite. Yep, that works. By the way, the price of that upgrade is more or less the difference between these both spiders. And I'm not used to dollar. Sorry for that. So otherwise, I wouldn't. Maybe Joey knows the right numbers. We will ask him. I am still not clear on the lighting required during calibration. That is, look, normally you should use the lighting or the light condition that you use while editing your images. And that really need to be quite low. And if this is quite low, so I shut the, by the way, here in my studio, just to give you an idea, I shut the blinds. So in my studio here at the post production zone, there is no daylight at all then. And I purchased from a do-it-yourself store such a D65 lamp that has a white point that is very close to daylight at noon. And I use that lamp not directly shining to my desk. It shines to a white wall, and that is reflecting to the room. So it's a very dim light condition, and it's always the same. I don't care if it's sunny outside or cloudy or foggy or it's snowing outside or it's late at night. It's always the same light condition when I do that work. So that is what I really um, recommend. And processing with Lightroom 5 on an iMac. I don't understand that question. Maybe there was another. Here's your name. I'm currently shooting with. Should I change to sRGB? That was the question. Sorry, I need to check that. Yeah, that's perfect. I think the question is already answered. If not, then of course contact us again. I currently have Spider 3 Studio SR. Can I still use the Spectro from the Spider 3 with the Spider 4, or will I need a new Spectro? No, you can work with that. And then just upgrade to the Spider 4. So that means upgrade. There is no upgrade. I mentioned that. So purchase a Spider 4. So you have the new one, the more accurate one, and so on and so on. So I don't want to bother you again with that. But the Spider 4 is really improved, and it recognizes the type of monitor display you have. You remember? So that is also a very, very big advantage of the Spider 4 compared to your older Spider 3. Uh, get green tint on gray Photoshop, gray PS, I think it's Photoshop, and have new software still is green. Sorry, I don't know what you meant. Are you talking about a calibration and it's still green? Then I think you're sitting in front of a Windows computer. Windows computers, they have a video card, of course, Macs as well, but with a video card, there comes a driver, and these drivers they have additional tools. And what you need to do is to to stop these additional tools from working. Please, if that is happen on your computer, and of course contact us again for that in our support system. We sent you a manual how to solve that. So you just need to switch those additional tools off, and then they won't override the lookup table of your video card anymore, even if you say, I never used that tool, so it won't override my video card. Yes, it does. Even if you never use that tool, it overrides the lookup table with a flat line, and then the spider correction curve is gone. So you just need to deactivate it. And believe me, it's not a big deal. We will send you that manual. It depends on your operating system and so on how to do that. That is the reason why I can't give you that answer here. So thank you. Oops, come on. I can't scroll at the moment. Now, what should be the color settings in my Photoshop CS6? Should I use Adobe RGB or the monitor ICC? Ooh, good question, and thank you that you mentioned that. Never ever use the monitor ICC profile as a color working space in your in your Photoshop. Your Photoshop is, please keep it with Adobe RGB 9098. Your monitor profile will be activated in the end of the calibration process automatically. You don't need to do that manually. And that is all what you need to do. Nothing else. Don't use that monitor profile on another place. This is just to correct the colors of your monitor. And that is the reason why you really mustn't use that ICC profile for your monitor in Photoshop or Lightroom or Aperture or whatever you use, InDesign and so on and so on. So please don't do that. The MacBook Pro Retina, how does this handle the calibration with Spider 4 Pro? Brilliant. I'm sitting in front of such an Retina display MacBook Pro. So, yep, just do it, calibrate it, and that's it. You mentioned that the ambient light sensor will adjust the luminance of the display. Should the spider be left connected all the time that Lightroom is being used? No. Yes, you can, but no, you don't need to do that. Look, in my condition here, I know I just repeat myself, but I shut the blinds and I use that D65 light source, which is behind me on the and shining through the wall. So that is always the same light condition. I disconnect the spider because of that is always the same light. If you have to deal with a changing light because of you can't shut the blinds because of you don't have any blinds or whatever curtains, but these curtains are not completely blocking the light. You know what I mean? Then please keep the spider connected, and it won't change the brightness of your monitor, but it will keep an eye of your ambient light source or your ambient light brightness, let's call it that way, and it will tell you, hey, you calibrated your monitor in a dark ambient light condition, so it was quite dark, but now it's too bright compared to that. You have two choices: recalibrate your monitor in that condition, or make it darker. You know what I mean? So then you should keep it connected. So that is depending on your situation. Extended desktop from laptop to Dell monitor. Sorry, if that Dell monitor laptop. Okay, so if this is Windows, then normally it doesn't work. Normally, so they are normally these Windows laptops. They have a video card that has just one lookup table, and that one lookup table can't correct two different monitors. You know what I mean? A more expensive video card has two or separate lookup tables for all these outputs, video outputs. A Mac has that, but a Mac is quite expensive. If you have a really good and expensive Windows computer, Windows laptop, it could be that there are more than one lookup table in the video card, or it couldn't. So you need to double check that with the manufacturer. Sorry, I can't give you the correct answer for that. You need to check that with the manufacturer then. And if there is just one lookup table, then if you're on the road, of course, use your internal monitor calibrated, and no question. If you are at home or in your studio or wherever you work and your external monitor is available, then deactivate the internal monitor of your laptop and just use the external screen to go with that. Because of the external screens, the bigger ones, they are mostly better in quality compared to a laptop screen. So then deactivate the internal and just calibrate and just work with the external one when you're at home. That would be the best solution for you then. Um, I'm a wedding photographer and give images to my clients on a disk USB. What is the best color space to give them given that most printers want sRGB? That is also the question. sRGB. If you are dealing with the prints because of they want a higher quality, these let's call, I don't know the right English word, and I just call them supermarket printing services. I'm sure that you know what I mean. So they don't use any color management. They are just printing. Oh, that is quite colorful. I like it. So that is for a normal person who's dealing with his very small pocket camera, and that is good for them. But if you do a higher quality photography and you're optimizing colors and everything, so you are interested in better prints, so you are using a higher quality printing service, and they wouldn't ask you to send an sRGB file, believe me. So, but again, if you're giving the files away to these clients and they're using those cheaper services and looking on their own computer, then it's like web purposes. Then give them sRGB. Wait. So my little chat box is very tiny, so I need to scroll, and that is sometimes a bit tricky. So what monitor do you use for retouching? I have a Quato monitor. Quato is a German manufacturer, but a very small one, so forget that. But the monitor is quite similar to an ISO Color Edge. These are the ISO CG monitors that are very, very, very good in uniformity and so on. So it's a €2,500 monitor. I don't know how much dollar it is. So, but it's in US dollar, it's I think around three and a half thousand US dollar. So, okay. How can I upgrade my Spider 4 Pro to Spider 4 Elite? Go to our website, spider.datacolor.com, then click on products, and then click on monitor solutions. And then you will find the upgrade from Spider 4 Pro to Spider 4 Elite. If you still have issues to find that, then please send us a message afterwards. I have the Spider 4 Pro 4 or 4 Pro. I did recalibrate the monitor a few times. However, the color is still not accurate when I print. That is a bit, and that will be a bigger topic in the printing webinar. So that is why I not mentioned that here. If you, and I know my examples are sometimes a bit strange, so forgive me for that. So look, you calibrated your monitor uh, to your target. That is normally gamma 2.2 and 6500 Kelvin. Now you print out your image, and you want to compare it with your monitor. If you want to compare it, you need to illuminate your image with a light source, of course. And that light source here is a candle. Of course, is your printout out much more yellowish compared to your monitor because of it's just a candle. You know what I mean? So that means if you want to compare a printout, so that is called proofing. If you want to proof your printout together with your monitor, you need to use daylight at noon. But please keep in mind, today here is sunny, and it is sunny because of it's noon here. It's sunny. And if it's sunny, then the color temperature is around 5,500 Kelvin. If it's cloudy, but the clouds are very high, you know what I mean? So it's very bright, but it's not a blue sky. Then it's more or less 6,500 Kelvin, but that's also depending on where you are living and if it's winter or if it's summer. So this is a bit changing. If it's foggy outside, it's much colder. It's 7,500 Kelvin. Or even here in Switzerland, in the mountains, if you are located a bit higher, then it's even higher. It's 8,000 Kelvin. It's much more bluish. So what I am trying to say with that, if you want to prove, so that means to match your printout with the monitor, then you need to illuminate that printout with a normed light source. Here in my studio, I have a norm light box. There is a special neon tubes inside, but such a box costs around 1,000 euro. So I would say 1,300 US dollars. These are quite expensive. If you are a pro, hey, please purchase such a box. Really, it's useful for you. If you're an amateur, of course, that would be way off. So use daylight to do that. And I'm sure you will be much closer to that. If you still have troubles, look into our Spider ebook. There you will find the answers, or contact our support. We will help you. Great webinar. Looking forward to more. Thank you for the feedback. How do I do that? Oops. I don't know what you meant with how do I do that because of there is no question. Sorry for that. Sorry. I have an ISO monitor and I'm calibrating using a Spider 3 and the ISO supplied color navigator software. Should I be using the Datacolor software, which would let me take advantage of the ambient light sensor? Um, you can give that a try because of the spider will what is the word categorize your ambient light situation. So you will see, oh, it's dark enough, or no, it's still too bright. So that will help you, I'm sure. But your ISO has it has its own software, that color navigator
Yep,
software.
it has.
Is it better than our software? No. Is it better on your ISO monitor? Yes, because of your ISO is a hardware calibratable monitor, and that profile won't be stored on in your video card. It will be stored in your monitor. So keep working with your ISO color navigator software. That is one of these two or 2,500 and more monitors just for the others. So a high professional monitor. So keep using that, but use, of course, the spider to categorize your ambient light level. That would be helpful for you, I'm sure. So, hi, I have a lot of trouble with color accuracy despite using a spider. I use RAW in Aperture, and sometimes JPEG can be the problem. Um, I can't answer that question with that description. We need more information. Please, could you contact our support? Um, you have trouble. That is what I understand or understood. But with that, you use RAW and Aperture and sometimes JPEG. Can that be the problem? I don't know. So we need to know your RAW settings and so on. So we will look together with you in your Photoshop or Lightroom or whatever settings, and then we can locate if that is the problem or not. So really, support is the solution for you. That is also too much for here. You see, we have a lot of questions. Let me scroll a bit.
Questions.
Oh, we have.
It's only
Oh,
not even the halfway. So,
yeah.
so for Oliver, do you think because I will also handle the Facebook page, so
Okay.
I recommend all of our audience to like our Facebook because we will announce our capture poll lucky draw on the Facebook page,
Yeah,
and
that's true.
also with the Facebook function because my staff here and also my staff in Australia will answer all the questions within the Facebook Messenger. So I think for the question we haven't been answered, maybe we can just copy it into our Facebook messengers, and then I will answer it one by one.
Yeah, that is a good idea, and then you can solve these issues that I can't solve here because of I need
Yeah,
to
sure,
to
sure.
to ask something, and you can do that there, of course, as well.
Yeah,
So that would
yeah, I
be
can do it
a
offline.
good solution. So now we have
Yeah, yeah,
more or less half an hour with a question and answers. Look. I hope it's okay for you when we stop it here, and you please enjoy your evening and send your question again to Joey and the rest of the team on our Facebook page. So again,
yeah,
that was. Let me start that here again. I need to do that. Um, wait, I'm hurry up because of I want to say thank you and I want to say goodbye. So please take
okay.
care, capture a lot of stunning images and share them with us. Post them on our website, on our Facebook site if you want, if that is the best shot of the year from you. And yeah, talk with us. We are interested in keeping in touch with you. So also look on our website and look at the other webinars. You know that already. They are free of charge. Just register and listen to other webinars again. So a big thank you. Thank you, Joey, to do that webinar together with me. And yeah, so thank you, and I hope to see you again or talk
Yeah.
to you again. So, last word is to Joey then. Bye bye.
Bye, 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 bye. Thank you very much. And then we will have our next seminar and also the next details to be posted on our Facebook for our follow-up webinar. So just keep tuned in. Thank you, everyone.